As we get closer to the opening of the summer transfer window, expect the links surrounding targets to get more exciting and more ambitious, as today I'll be focusing on the big reports surrounding Rafael Leao and our big interest in the player this summer. So my friends, I hope you guys enjoy the video. I'm going to give you guys some insight behind the season, how we can work here, a little bit of analysis and all that good stuff. So show us some love with the like button and let's get straight into things. Let me paint the picture at AC Milan. They've just been defeated 2-1 by Napoli. Yes, their second half performance was a lot more commendable, but you could argue that Napoli also turned off the gas in that second half. But there was enough fight back in that Milan performance where they were quite unfortunate not to make it 2-2. But the reality simply is right now, they are 9 points off from a Champions League spot, and all they have left to fight for now is the Coppa Italia, where they have a face-off against Inter Milan over 2 legs. It's not looking good. In the build-up to the game versus Napoli though, there was some controversy as it was revealed that Leao would not be starting that game, with Joao Felix instead starting down the left wing. Leao came on in the second half. He was a bit mid, but Constantin revealed the reason as to why Leao couldn't start the game, and that was simply based on doctor's orders. At the moment, Leao was feeling some fatigue in his left thigh, and there were some precautionary measures that were taken so he doesn't just push himself even harder. But regardless, even when Leao isn't playing at his best, Milan just look a better team with his presence on that field. And considering all the controversy surrounding Leao this season, he has 19 goals and assists in what's supposed to be a bad season for the player. Regardless though, with Milan's futures looking very bleak this season, there's a simple reality that's going to hit them this summer, and that's the fact that without CL football, they're set to miss out on around 45 to 50 mil euros, which is key for their finances. And due to this potential lack of CL football, they are preparing the sales of players, and it seems like they may be forced to sell their key guys, and the 3 key players being Mike Maignan, Theo Hernandez, and importantly, Rafael Leao, as all 3 players happen to be the highest earning wage players at the club too. So it's really starting to look like there's big potential now to secure a massive player from AC Milan in the summer window. And this is where the news gets pretty interesting, because reports in Italy, not England, have revealed that we have been studying the potential move for Rafael Leao over many months. Now, we all know that Leao was originally Todd Bowley's dream signing when he first took over, and we made some ambitious moves to try and entice him away from Milan. However, Leao just wasn't interested in leaving a recently Scudetto winning Milan at that time. Fast forward a few years later, times are looking a bit different. Leao's contract expires in 2028, but he is protected by a ridiculous 175 mil euro release clause, which is even too prohibitive for any Saudi clubs, with Saudi clubs actually exploring the possibility to entice Leao away from Milan in the January window, with bids of around 85 million being mooted. With the financial pressures at AC Milan though, and with the inevitable fact that they won't be getting CL football this season, they're going to have to sell. And this is where reports suggest we have been looking to exploit the support of Jorge Mendes, the agent of Rafael Leao, an agent that's had very close ties to the new ownership over the recent years, to help engineer any potential moves and create some contacts. However, the main thing stopping the progression of conversations and contacts is the price tag, with Milan at the moment preferring around 100 mil euros, around 85 mil pounds, to sell the player. You think to yourself though, is that a realistic amount of money they can actually expect for a player whose contract is coming down slowly and slowly? And this could be the final opportunity to sell Rafael Leao for maximum market value, because Milan need to have some serious conversations about what type of football club they want to be and how the team is set to evolve in the future. So that's the intro, that's the news, but let's talk numbers. Let's talk how Leao can work with us. Is there pros? Is there cons? And I'll give my conclusion right in the end. But looking at the numbers, he's got 7 goals, 6 assists, and like 21 starts and 7 sub appearances in Serie A this season. He's got like 3 goals, 1 assist in the Champions League. But he's got some good numbers statistically to support his season. He's second for assists in Serie A under Nuno Tavares, who has 8 assists this season, which isn't bad numbers considering Milan have not had that consistent focal point up front as they've meandered between Abraham, Morata, and their new signing in Jimenez. In the Champions League, Leao has completed the most successful dribbles so far with 39, 6 more compared to Lamine Yamal. But the assists and the goals don't reflect the importance behind what he was doing in these games, because a lot of these assists have come in match-winning assist moments, like his involvements against Lecce, Verona, even Real Madrid, winning goals versus Verona, Como, 2 goals versus Cagliari. These are moments that have brought Milan back into games or given Milan a fighting chance or helped secure wins. For all the complaints about Leao being lazy, which I'm going to get onto in this video, so stay tuned for that, Milan just don't look the same without him. And I just think that performance against Napoli really sums up how they looked like in the first half and a different team in that second half. Leao has got over 100 goal contributions in 4 years. That's some of the best offensive metrics for most wingers at Europe at the highest level. And even looking at his numbers, comparing him to the other premium winger talents in Europe this season, you can argue that he is in their level. You can make strong arguments that you can compare him to the very best that Europe has this season. Numbers are all good though, but would Leao actually work at Chelsea? We've been burnt by a million left wingers over the years. We've had big hopes and expectations for many of them. And the reality is, based on our recent purchases, we're more likely to buy a dud now down the left wing compared to someone that can actually transcend what we're doing down the left flank. And for myself, yes, Leao can work with us. But if you want Leao to work, you need to adjust to his level. And I'm going to start off by discussing the horror story, because a Leao type of player that we originally bought a few years back was none other than Mykhailo Mudryk. One of the reasons why Mudryk failed to really push on and showcase the potential that he had was that we never accommodated for him to play to his high volume potential. Instead, we tried to fashion Mudryk to be another cog in the machine, where he had to press with intensity, build up with his teammates, and thus always play for the team. However, with certain players at this level in this game, you need to allow them to express themselves and to have that freedom. With Mudryk, for example, for every 10 dribbles he does, he's going to complete 6 of them. 3 of them are going to be spectacular. 3 are going to be good, and he'll mess up 4 times. But to be the player he has to be able to mess up and be protected within the system, so he can showcase his very best when he's playing to his natural game, not accommodating to the needs of a manager, which are putting the team over the required individuals at times. I feel like we were seeing some promise with Mudryk, especially in the Conference League. It's a shame that he's going to get this potential ban now that is really coming at the worst time in his development. But for all the frustration that he's shown, I'm always going to have this opinion that we never really did enough to allow Mudryk to play to his instinctive best. We didn't have a system which catered towards protecting Mudryk's weaknesses whilst boosting the qualities he has. And this is where I bring it back to Rafael Leao, because it's simply this. If you want Leao to be successful, Maresca has to cater the system a little bit to allow Leao to not have to focus that much on running and putting in that groundwork. Not every player in this world is supposed to be a mindless teammate NPC. And one manager that understood the assignment perfectly for Leao was none other than Stefano Pioli. Now, why did it work at AC Milan? It worked because Leao was protected with preemptive defending behind him. Pioli didn't want Leao to waste his energy on pressing and running and doing the team stuff. Instead, Milan had powerful mids in Chelsea and Tonali to help with that. They defended around Leao's sides. There was more protection there to allow Leao to have more freedom to play his game, which allows Leao to keep his energy right to the very end. And there's a reason why Leao statistically ranks very high for goal contributions between the 75th to 90th minutes, because he has more energy to keep running and targeting defenses. And during those times when the opposition are naturally getting more fatigued as the game goes on, This is where Leao becomes even more dangerous. And Pioli and Milan play to his strength. Leao's runs and his dribbles, they pull out the opposition players out of possession. And this is what we are still lacking. This is the type of quality we need to complement the rest of the talents we have. Case in point, Cole Palmer. A lot of the best stuff he showcases come from taking advantage of spaces being created for him by the willing runs of his teammates. So maybe in fact Leao could be of use here, considering we have Cucurella, who, no, he isn't Theo Hernandez, but he can invert. He can put in the defensive work to maybe allow Leao to shine. And with the use of an inverted system and the use of hard-working midfield players in Caicedo, we have Santos and Asugo coming as well. Hopefully a fully fit Lavia. There are more complementary components within our squad that can take advantage of the talent of Leao more than what Milan can do at this point in time. I guess this is where the criticisms have to be discussed, and I can understand why some Milan fans will feel like Leao at 25-26 hasn't necessarily pushed on to showcase more levels. Why is he not getting 25 goals a season? Why is he not getting 25 assists a season? He has that potential in him. But my opinion is, especially after watching football for a very long time, when teams are underperforming, it's quite natural for the fans to immediately scapegoat their star guy, because the star best player has to be the one preventing the team during times of difficulties from slipping away based on his natural gifted talents. But for me, it's simply this. No player can step up and go to the next level if the system, if the tactics also aren't stepping up alongside them. Case in point, famous examples like Pep Guardiola moving Lionel Messi from the right flank to the false nine position. The numbers went up ridiculously. We've seen certain things for ourselves as fans, seeing Cole Palmer move from the right flank to a more central position where his numbers also dramatically increased. Since winning the Scudetto around 2 years ago, Milan have not invested wisely in improving what works for them and taking other aspects of their game to that next level. And this is where I give my conclusion to this story, because if you're telling me Leao is available in this summer window, I'm not saying no to this guy. I think this guy is a world-class player, one of the best left wingers in Europe. But for myself, I think it's a matter of Leao now has outgrown AC Milan. Milan tactically have progressed, and I think this season summarizes the capitulation that's happening with that football club. They've not developed core ideas. They've not progressed them. The season reflects it. It's a mismatch of different ideas. When Francesco took over, they tried to play the possession-style game, which benefited half the squad and didn't benefit the rest. They then moved on, stark contrast to hiring Conceição, who wants to go man v man. He wants to press high. He wants to push your lines higher up. But half the team doesn't have the intensity, and their midfield for sure cannot support that type of football at all. And this actually hurts other players around them. Case in point, Leao's partner in crime in Theo Hernandez. Their partnership's one of the best left-wing partnerships in the world, but Theo has suffered because the midfield can't win battles. They got talent in Fofana and Reinders, but they should be playing in a midfield three, which is something Milan refused to do. And this hurts Theo because he can't afford to play box-to-box as much because he fears that the team could lose possession at the back, which means that he's forced to go on these constant box-to-box runs, which is just unsustainable. So what does he do? He just reduces the amount of runs he goes on because he's always preempting that a negative move is going to happen that's going to cost the team. You can't have a successful team when tactically issues like this are constant throughout the system and they're all affecting the full potential of what players can do within that setup. Listen, there's a small group of player that is the systemless star. You're looking at once in a generation talents, your Neymars, your Messis, your Eden Hazards. But they're the exception, they're the outliers. You can't be comparing players to that level. Leao's freedom has been affected, and even his ability to create for the team has been affected. Now there's no Olivier Giroud up front. It's been a steady, slow downhill now for Milan since they won the Scudetto. And with the lack of CL football on the horizon, I just cannot see why Leao would remain there at AC Milan, outside of loyalty to the fans, the club, and his teammates. Professionally, nothing's growing at that football club. And if the opportunity arises to target one of the premium left wingers in Europe, My friends, I'm taking this opportunity with both hands, provided we get CL football, which is going to be key to targeting players of this level. And if Milan reduce that asking fee, which I think we can do if things are working against them. So that's my opinion, you guys. I'm going to release a separate video discussing the best left winger targets to turn to. Spoilers, Leao will be part of that list. But they're my thoughts and opinions on what's going on with the player right now. How do you feel about Leao yourselves? Is he someone you like the idea of? Is his lack of work rate something that scares you? On the other hand, do you feel like certain talents have to be accommodated by their teams if you want to see the very best of them? A lot of conversations to have. Get involved in the comments, my guys, and I'll see you later with some more videos. Cool.